So here's a look at the products I'll be using today to create this beautiful bloom. I have coloring stencils, the stamps, and a die that cuts everything out. But what I wanted to show you today is I have some brand new colors from Altenew. These have just been released as part of the fresh dye inks. And I'm excited to have a purple bloom and these beautiful colors to try out today. These colors are also available in a cube, and sometimes people want to try out cubes before they commit to a full pad. You can get a lot done with a cube. I tend to go full pads because 9 out of 10 times once I try a color, I want to have the full-size pad. So just wanted to show you those. And there's another quadrant in these colors. I have Shattered Shell, Warm Linen, Ginger Root, and Umber Shadow. I have the full-size pads. I did not pull them out for this, but I just wanted you to know there are 12 new colors. So I'm going to get started with stamping my image, and then we're going to put some of these beautiful colors to work. I'm going to be stamping my image today in the Obsidian Pigment ink because this is a beautiful, crisp black ink. I'll get my image off of the index sheet here. I'm going to place this right in the corner, and I've got my stamp here, and I'm going to get it right about there. This is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches, and it is a piece of the Nina Classic Crest in the Solar White 110 pound. As long as I have enough room to cut out the die, I will be good to go. And I'm using my original stamp wheel today just because this is a little smaller and fits into my space quite nicely. All right. I have both of them. Sometimes I just use the smaller one. Now I'm going to use my little stamp conditioning eraser. These come in a 3-pack, and this is my favorite. There's another one that Altenew has, but I really like this one. And you can also do this with your fingers. You don't need a special eraser, but you know, I like the tools. All this does is it primes your stamp for the first time it's going to take ink. I feel like this is more important on a dye ink as opposed to a pigment ink, but either way, we're getting it all primed and ready. Now I will use my ink. Get this inked up really well. Flip it and lock it back into place. Press down, and I will use my little Stampin' Bug just to transfer the ink to the cardstock. We'll see how I did here. Well, that looks really nice, but I'm going to hit it one more time. And I may keep my stamp on the door just in case I decide I want to come back in and stamp it again, which is why I put this in the corner of my stamp wheel so that I could put it right back in the same place if need be. All right. Transfer that, and I will have to let this dry. Oh, that looks beautiful. Now, I am going to clean this real quick, and I will show you. Oftentimes, oh, you know what? I'm going to try to get a little more of that off. You can sometimes see areas where you might have a little extra ink on your stamp, and you can just press it again until it doesn't look as shiny, I guess. But first, I will, oh, well, that's not what I meant to do. No, I love my eraser. Well, we'll have to see about that. Maybe my stamp cleaner will work here, but I like to use a little bit of actual stamp cleaner. And I have a couple different stamp cleaners, but I just picked up one of these as well. It has a little Velcro disc, and you just go over like this. This one's from Tailored Expressions. And the nice thing about these kinds of cleaners is they really get in and get the mucky muck off your stamp and get your stamp clean. Now, that's mostly just with the pigment inks that I think tend to want to hold on, but these work great, and you can get extras. I also have this friend, which is from Hero Arts. They both do the same thing, but I like the small size, and this has a comfortable soft foam grip, that just lets you really get that clean. Now, I wonder, can I use this on here and get it off? Well, we're going to find out. Oh, yeah, look at that. Well, are we? It kind of looks like a spider got in here, but you know, sometimes you make mistakes. Oh, that's cleaning it up nicely. Oh, okay. Don't panic if you, well, could be better. See, these are the things that happen. Oh, it's coming off great. I'll keep working on that and make sure my stamp conditioner is as good as new. So again, I'm going to leave this on my door, although now I have a whole mess of stamp cleaner. Make sure you wipe all that off. And I'm going to let this little friend dry before I start stenciling. I actually decided to cut this out before stenciling. And I did keep the negative space of this, so if I wanted to stamp it again, I could. But I like having my die cuts cut out first. And I did let this dry. I actually walked away from this project for a few hours. But what I'm going to do is just work my way through, and I'm working on the 9x12 sticky mat because this is nice because it can hold your pads for you while you're working and blending, and I kind of love that. So I have all the stencils here, right? There's several layers, and we'll start with the first one. And before I get into just speeding this up a little, because you know it's ink blending, take your time and line it up for the first bloom. Then seal it down. Now you can use Post-it notes to mask off the spaces, but you know what I do? I use the Stamp Wheel little, the Stamp Wheel 2.0 insert pieces. I use these to mask, and it's really pretty cool because you can just, you know, well, I don't have to worry about much here. Basically, I don't want to get it on that one, so I can stick it there. And I don't think I'm going to have a problem there, but these are really useful for just masking, and you can just clean them off in between. I will be cleaning off my stencils with a little bit of alcohol. I don't spray that on the mat. I do it off to the side, and I just keep my little cloth here handy. And so I am going to speed all of this up and talk you through adding my color. It's always fun to use a new color for the first time, and the Celestial Mist really has sort of a soft grayish purple hue, and I really think this is pretty. Another thing that I have been doing more and more when I'm using Altenew stencils is leaving more white cardstock and not just filling in the entire leaf or floral petal or whatever I'm blending, because it really adds a glow factor. I used to approach these stencils and just fill everything in, right? Just one solid sweep of color. But ever since I've started to leave white and not go with all the force of any single color, it just gives such pretty and I think more realistic results. Now here, again, I'm going darker on some of the outer edges, but you could do it darker from the center. I just wasn't sure what was going to happen in the center yet, so I thought I'll come from the outside in. This is the new Silver Sprout. These greens are beautiful. They are muted, but yet they have a nice rich color, and I think they are gorgeous for greens and leaves and whatnot. So see, it's coming together. Then you just work through and use all of the other layers. Now, I definitely am going, even though this is sped up, I'm going very carefully here on this detail stencil layer because it has all those little prongs, and you want to be careful because sometimes you can slip your brush under one of the prongs, but you can also hold them down with a craft pick. I didn't really need to for this because I was actually going slow enough. But again, leaving some white and not going all the way through. Now I'll bring in Sage Stone, and this is another beautiful color. And we're layering over and giving some more detail to the leaves. So the thing I like doing with something like this is just sticking with two color families. One for the florals and one for the leaves. Now, of course, you can get far more creative. You can have each flower be a different color, but oftentimes I just keep it really simple. Now here I'm coming in with the dreamy periwinkle and adding some of those darker details. And oh, it's coming together. Yes, it is. And again, I'm using my little corner, well, the stamp wheel, what do you call them? The alignment guides. I always forget what they're called, but they just work so nicely for masking and you save paper. I have Post-it notes too, but these are reusable and I love that. All right, coming in with the last little bit for the detail here, and I've got sage stone and silver sprout blending. And again, I don't try to make my blends perfect, especially not on leaves, because leaves in nature are not perfect, right? So you're going to be fine. And this is my favorite way to color instead of using markers. You know what I mean? Because markers, they're so hard. But layering stencils, so easy. And that is the blending. So and here's the thing, when you're taking this off, and actually I'm going to show you a better way, do be careful because when you've been pressing and blending for a while, it's better to just pick up your mat, kind of roll it a bit, and lift, depending on how sticky your surface is. Of course, if you just glue this down to your surface like on a piece of scratch paper, just be mindful again when you pick it up. But look at how pretty that is. These colors are so soft and muted, and I love leaving areas of white so you don't have to fill in every single area super solid, and it just gives it a little bit more of a softer look. All right, now I will pick a greeting so we can create a card. I'm going to stamp and emboss this greeting thinking of you, which is from the stamp set in gold. There is a coordinating die to cut that out, and I love when there are, little tiny sentiments, right? I'm going to prime this too. Oh, also, this came out nice and clean. You can also just wash it under water, but I love this little guy. Okay, so before I do that, I'm going to take a little bit of my anti-static powder, just pop that down, and make sure that I am still lined up where I want to be. And I'm going to take my clear embossing ink, get a nice coating, and get that locked in and press. And I'll probably also cut out, I don't know, maybe an extra layer of the outline shape to give my greeting a little substance. And maybe I'll give this twice. Okay. Again, lock it in and press. This is also the same 110-pound cardstock, which I like doing for my small greetings. Gives them some nice heft. Okay. And I will heat set this. You know what? I got a little too much here. Yeah, I smushed it down a little. There you go. That's better. All right, I will get the coordinating die and cut that out. So now I'm going to just take an extra cut here of this, and I actually might double up the die cut for the blended piece as well. But I'm just going to pop this here, line it up like that, and then I just sort of squeeze it together, make sure it looks, basically as lined up as it can. And I will take my little brick and just let that balance for a second. I had an extra one that I cut and stamped, but here all I'm going to do is just add glue all the way around the edges like that, and just adhere this to the back of the other one. That will give it a little more substance, and I may not have to pop it up off of the panel. All right. Then we'll take this guy and we'll just drop it on and wiggle it into place. That's just going to give me a little more heft on this piece itself. And the liquid glue gives you just a second to make sure it's all lined up nicely, like that. So I have my nice minimal greeting. Now I'm going to get a note card prepared, and I think I'm going to do two-tone spatter on this card. So I basically want to have a very simple arrangement, but I want to do a couple different, let's see, it goes at an angle that way, so the spatter should be that way, I think. Let's get more in camera here. My box is a little warped. I'm going to do a couple things. Number one, I'm going to try some green. So I'm going to smush a little sage stone down, wet it up. Oh, and I should get my brush wet. You can use any brush for this. I'm just going to use this watercolor brush that I have, but you can start in the center because that's going to be covered. And then I'm just going to do a few like that. That's it. Okay. Number one done. Wipe that up. And I will try to rinse this a bit. Now, I would like to put the smallest, oh, you know what? Let's do the gold next. I'm going to use this Distress Spritz in Fossilized Amber. It's very nice for gold spatter, and you don't need much. I like to control it. I don't like to spray this directly from the bottle. I don't know if I've ever done that, but then you're going to pick it up and just put a few taps of gold like that. Look how nice it spatters. This brush is great for this, by the way. Any brush will do. You can use whatever you have. Now, I will, and also practice. I've gotten so much better at controlling where it goes with just a simple tap, but you see all these extra spatters. That's where I practice. Okay, and the last part is a little bit of this, the carbon black. This is my favorite product to use for black spatter. You don't need much. I mean, literally there, that's enough. It's so opaque, you can't see through it. I love it. And here again, little water, little water. I may need more, I may need less. Let's get that in there like that. See, it spreads out so much. Oh my gosh, it's a creamy goodness. Now I will go off to the side here a little and just do a few and a few. That's it. I'm not going to do any more. Simple little bits, and that will repeat. You're going to get a little shine from the gold. You're going to get that really pale green, and this is going to be a really nice base for the floral. Let me get this cleaned up and we'll finish out the card. I have glue on the back here, and I'm just going to position this. I'm not cropping it to cut it down. I'm just going to let it live in all its glory right at an angle like that. Okay, and I've just got enough glue to hold it, but I will press down. Once that glue dries, it will be very nice and strong and hold that in place. Plus, this doesn't have a lot of bulk because I just used one layer of cardstock underneath it. But see how pretty this is with little bit, it's not like a solid wash of color on each layer. And I think that's a really great thing to try to make your little blends look so soft. And I don't mind that I just did this color. I didn't want to go with anything different. I'm even off a little bit here. Does not matter. It still looks great. All right, I put some thin foam squares on the bottom of this, and I'm going to position this down in the lower quadrant. And I will put a little liquid glue on here just to make sure I have some slip time to get this positioned exactly where I want it. I kind of think it would look, yeah, right in there. I think that's a nice position. I just used some thin foam squares that I had here to pop that on. Now, I do have these beautiful colors. Look at this. There are also 3 new color sets of the Ulta New enamel dots, And you know what? I don't know. I already have spatter on here. But the nice thing about these is you can place some of these down, and if you don't like how they look, you just take them off. And I'm tempted to go with the Sage Garden because there's already a lot of the purpley, these pale lavender, gray, purple tones. Yeah, I think I'm gonna see. And the nice thing too, you don't have to push these down, right? You can place them, and then if you say, yeah, I don't really like the way it looks, then all you do is you lift them right back up. So where is my, now let's see. I like that pale color, and I wouldn't need a lot. I'm almost thinking, let's see here. We'll just look. If we like it, we'll keep it. If not, we won't. But like maybe just one there. And then the little babies. I love the size of these. Like that. Oh no, I want the lighter tone. You could put them on your flower too, but sometimes I just like a little simple, you know, little there, little up top. And maybe, even though I love odd numbers, I may do the 3 gatherings of 2. Okay. And again, I haven't pressed them, so if I don't want to keep them, I don't have to. Okay, and then you could do one right in here and one next to that. I actually really like that. I think that's pretty. It just kind of has a nice little visual link. So there are 3 odd number gatherings of 2. And again, I'm going to slide you a little bit up. Oh, come here. That's what I like about this. You can, before you push too hard, make sure they're all about the same, and then you can press down. Nope, press it, pop it, come here. That wasn't supposed to happen. Come on, come on, come on, come on. There we go, come back. They get a little frisky. Okay, and then you too, I'm gonna push you right into that space. And that finishes my card project. So now you can see I do have a little shine on there. And again, you could spatter onto your flower too. I just oftentimes like to do it on the background. But let's do a quick design review of this card. I'll bring in my grid here. This is a printable that you can download. I have it on my blog in PDF form. You just download it, print it onto a laser or inkjet compatible piece of acetate, and trim it down and add some cardstock to the top and bottom. There's information in the description on how to create your own panel. Okay, so here's our card, and what we have here, obviously we have one big image, but we're going at a diagonal. So we have these 2, I guess most in the center it has elements too, and then up here it is more isolated because we're going at this angle. So there's a little something, well, there's a little something in almost every quadrant, but these quadrants are the most open, and that creates a nice bit of open space for the card design to breathe. And I really like having white space on cards, even when it's filled with little bits of spatter. So here we have our thinking of you greeting that's pretty close to this intersecting point. Now these intersecting points are just places of visual interest in a grid like this. And this is a rule of thirds grid, which is really more about photography in theory, but it works great for things like layout design for our cards. So that's a nice placement. It could have gone up a little further and that might have been better, but sometimes I look at it visually and I think about where I'm placing it. And sometimes I'm right on, sometimes I'm not. You can bring this grid in while you're figuring out your elements too, and it can help you when you're designing. I have my repetition of 1, 2, 3 gatherings of 2. So we have the repetition of the dots. We have dots in spatter. We have green. It's that very pale sage stone. So sage stone and the green tones. The gold embossing picks up with the little bit of gold spatter, of course the black spatter and the black outlines, and of course the style of blending on all three flowers repeats. Now you could do this far more complicated, but I like to keep images like this really simple, and the results are elegant and refined. You can find links to all of the products I used in today's card in the YouTube description box. I'll also have a blog post linked there where you can see photos and the full supply list as well. If you're not a subscriber to my channel, I'd love to have you, so please hit that subscribe button and be sure to hit the notification bell so that you don't miss the next time I post. Here is another floral blended card that you might want to check out, and I will see you in that video.